Miss Lynn Kent, YWCA of Canada President and board members, Paulette Senior, my colleague and friend, and the YWCA of Canada staff, all volunteers, friends and invited guests. It is a pleasure for me to be able to send you this greeting on the 2013 annual members meeting, where your theme is making waves, advocate, collaborate and transform. Unfortunately, I'm unable to be with you in person at this moment. I had so much wanted to be there with you, but we know that we all live in a global village. We are not all members of this global village have equal access and equal opportunities to participate. I had visa complications and therefore I'm unable to be with you in person. But I want to express my appreciation to Paulette Senior, to Danielle, and all the colleagues who did everything possible to try to make me be present with you today. At least I'm there in spirit, and I'm pleased to be able to send you this message. The World YWCA joins you in this annual members meeting, and I'm pleased that our YWCA treasurer of the World Movement, Caroline Flowers, is able to be with you, and also our Vice President, Jessica Notwell. Therefore, we are fully represented as a movement. I so much wanted to be in Winnipeg, a place that I've never visited before, to also connect with the YWCA movement in Canada, and to connect also with the experience that I've had when last I participated in your annual members meeting in 2009 and was hosted through the YWCA of Vancouver. I also want to express my appreciation to Helen Lepin, who last year received me in the YWCA of Montreal. I'm looking forward to visiting with our movement in Canada and to meet with some of you and to connect with some of the work that you are doing. The theme that we have for this year, making waves, advocate, collaborate and transform, speaks to the heart of the World YWCA purpose. We are a movement whose purpose is to develop the leadership of women and girls for collective action, so that we can have a world of peace, a world of justice, a world of freedom, a world in which women enjoy their health and where we protect our environment. For us to be able to have collective leadership, it means we must be able to make waves. You cannot make a single wave as an individual. It means we have to connect together, we have to collaborate together, and we need to be involved in transformative action within our communities, within our countries, and globally. This theme therefore speaks not only to the history of our movement, to the work that we do globally, but also to the aspirations that we continue to carry for our organization. The YWCA of Canada is among the many YWCAs that continue to seek to make waves, not only in Canada, not only in North America or in the Americas, but that together we must make waves in the world today. I want to recognize and to appreciate how, as the YWCA of Canada, you have continued to significantly contribute to our global wave. We value your collaboration with your sister YWCAs, your partnership with the YWCA of Honduras, supporting them to build capacity for their organization, to build on the standards of good management, to do strategic planning has been so invaluable and has enabled us to strengthen our movement in Latin America. The partnership that you have with the YWCA of Jamaica and your current collaboration to hosting the Young Women's Conference in Barbados are all but examples of how you hold hands with your sisters in other corners of the world, so that together we can impact the world we live in. We can advocate for women's rights, and we can seek to empower communities that we find ourselves in. As the YWCA of Canada, you also continue to be exemplary in creating space for participation in global policy work. I've enjoyed the many opportunities that I've had to be with you, Some of you in that room, including Lynn, Paulette, and others, at the UN Commission on the Status of Women. This year you surprised us, outstandingly pulled together a big delegation where you were able to say, we have something to share, but we also want to shape the global policy, especially on issues on violence against women. The innovation that we have had in putting technology as a tool for women to access their rights, to claim opportunities and to transform their own context is important. That siren that you have, it's so important because it reminds us that services should be within reach and information should be available to all. As the World YWCA, we also continue to respect that at this moment, the world movement had clearly defined what we should focus on. You were there in 2011 at our 27th World Council when the World YWCA movement adopted its strategic plan. The world movement committed that we must, and we have to put a strong effort to intergenerational leadership. An approach that enables us to lift and develop the leadership of young women, to harness the potential, the experience that resides in all women of all other ages, and that together we provide a leadership which is not only about maintaining the status quo, but which is also about transforming the norms, transforming the policies, and transforming the way that services are delivered. So intergenerational leadership is one of our priorities, and I'm pleased to see that as the YWCA of Canada, you continue to make a lot of effort in ensuring that young women are at the center of your work. I recognize that you were among the first ones to receive the Mary Robinson Award in recognition of how you are lifting the leadership of young women, an award that you shared with the YWCA of Belize in 2011. The second key area that our movement committed to is enabling women to claim their rights, the whole issue of women's human rights. This is a universal issue, and as a movement, we prioritize the focus on violence against women. Women must live a life free of violence. We have to prevent violence. We must support survivors of violence. Victims of violence must be able to access justice. It is unacceptable that we continue to live in a world of impunity, where people can commit violence and violate women's bodies and still just go scot-free. And as a movement, we are standing up together to say, let's provide services in our communities. Let's engage in the reform of our legislation, and let's continue to engage in policy advocacy. And hence, these last 2 weeks, we have been on our feet at the Human Rights Council to be part of pushing the advocacy for violence against women so that we have good and strong international norms. The second issue that we prioritized on women's rights and women claiming their rights is sexual and reproductive health and rights. We need to continue to be able to control our bodies, to make decisions about our sexual and reproductive health and rights. And this is an important issue which goes beyond just maternal mortality. It is about integrity of our being. And it is important that as a movement, we continue to put attention so that women have access to family planning services, they have choices, they have sexuality education, and they have commodities that they need for prevention and for protection, especially in the context of HIV and AIDS, which is still with us. And we know that more than 60% of people living with HIV are women and girls. And therefore, this is an important that we continue to put primary attention to. Linked to these two issues is clarity, that there are certain things which we can do together. We can end child marriage, and we can end it in a single generation. It is an issue of violence against girls. It is an issue of sexual and reproductive health and rights. It is an issue of sexual control. And we have to do all we can. The third issue which our movement committed to is movement building. And this is part of how we make waves. We make waves when we are a strong movement together. And for us, encouraging member associations to uphold the standards of good management and accountability is key to who we are and what we should be as an organization. Lastly, the movement committed to unleashing a process of us thinking together, envisioning our movement in 2035. Where do we want to be 20 years from now? What should the YWCA movement be known for? What is the character of that YWCA? How do we define our identity as a membership organization where individual women and girls can find expression, can contribute to, can be part of this movement, where young women can have space at the table? That is part of the envisioning. Envisioning ourselves in the context of our tradition, our Christian tradition, and how it links with our human rights values, our commitment to human rights, that culture and faith should not be used to undermine our human rights. And at the same time, women should not throw away their faith, nor their culture, but it needs to be affirmed in a way that also advances their human rights. These are the important discussions that we are having. But also as part of the envisioning is around sustainability. How do we continue as a movement moving forward? As I bring the issue, my greetings to a close, I also just want to remind us that we continue to live in a world of inequality. Inequality defined by context of region, inequality defined by livelihoods and class, by race, by ability or disability, and all other identities that we find ourselves in. And as a world movement, we have to continue to strive to be an inclusive movement in which all women in all our diversities can enjoy our human rights. We continue to live in a world where women experience unacceptable levels of poverty, extreme poverty that robs people of their dignity and their basic being. And we have to continue to strive, therefore, for a world in which women and young women can have decent employment, dignity in livelihoods, and where their entrepreneurship can be unleashed. A world in which we all have equal opportunities, equal choices, and knowledge to be able to define who we are and whom we want to be. We continue to live in a world where women experience violence and abuse, and we want to stop that violence now. And as the YWCA movement and the YWCA of Canada, at this conference, I encourage you and urge you to continue to commit to ending violence against women. Our role together is not only to shape and make waves in our personal lives. You need to make a wave in your own life, but you also need to make a wave in your own family, in your own country, in your own community, but also in our own world. I celebrate each one of you today. I want to thank you for the support you continue to give to the movement. I stand tall and proud of being a member of the YWCA movement, but also proud of the YWCA of Canada. Congratulations.